Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about all the different utility accessories that your survivor will have access to on Great Bear. Before we dive into it, I will say once again that I am back at college and trying to get a new setup figured out, so if the audio is a bit wonky, just bear with me on that please. Also, I've been forgetting my spoiler warnings lately, so let's fix that here. This video is going to cover a lot of content from Tales from the Far Territory in good detail. Specifically the details of a lot of the final rewards you're going to get from completing the tales, so if you want to stay blind to that, this video isn't for you. Today we're going to be covering the different types of crampons, the foreman's tool belt, moosehide satchel, security chief's rifle holster, and the ballistic vest. We're going to be covering the effects and uses of each accessory and when you should prioritize one over the other. Diving straight into it with the crampons and improvised crampons. These are the only utility accessories that provide any clothing attributes to your survivor other than the ballistic vest. Both versions of the crampons have 100% waterproof bonus, -5 mobility, and provide a 3% protection bonus. The only attribute difference between the two is that the improvised crampons weigh more, with 0.75 kilograms to the regular crampons 0.5 kilograms. But we're not using crampons for their attributes, we're using them for the incredible buffs they provide. Before we can mention all the buffs of the two types of crampons and compare them, there is something about crampons that must be mentioned. The actual buff values of crampons have been bugged for a while, making the buff values different than what was intended. I'm going to list their bugged values, as that's what's currently in the game, but I'll also be mentioning their intended values and showing that in parentheses next to the bugged value. So with that being said, if you equip the regular crampons, your survivor will benefit from the sure footing buff, and receive the following effects. 50% reduced risk of sprains on slopes, 40% reduced drain on stamina while climbing a rope. This is bugged and was intended to be 60%. If you're climbing while below 25% fatigue, you will climb much faster than you would at this fatigue level without crampons, and an increase to the amount of time you can be on weak ice by 1 second, which is an increase of 20%. The improvised crampons also provide you with sure footing, but this sure footing buff has different effects than the one provided from the regular crampons. A 70% decreased risk of sprain on steep slopes, bugged and was meant to be 30%, 60% decrease in stamina drain while climbing, bugged and was intended to be 40%, and increases the time you can be on weak ice by 0.5 seconds, which is an increase of 10%. Before we compare these two, let's talk about what crampons are good for. The obvious answer here is that they are very good for rope climbing, but the other amazing use they have is for beachcombing. Oftentimes when beachcombing, there may be some supplies or containers you need to get that are on weak ice. Wearing crampons, specifically the regular crampons, will significantly improve your odds of safely obtaining those resources. The last thing to note is that the crampons are both the slowest and quickest decaying clothing item, decaying the slowest while not being worn and kept indoors, and the fastest while being used, so it's generally best to not have crampons equipped when you don't need them because it will cause them to degrade quickly. But they're also very easy to repair with just 2 pieces of scrap metal. With that being known, which crampon is better for which scenario? Looking at these two items, we can see that, due to the bugs being incredibly kind to the improvised crampons, there is actually an argument for using the improvised crampons over the regular crampons for climbing, due to its higher reduction in stamina drain. But I personally would still recommend using the regular crampons over the improvised ones, because of the speed boost while below 25% fatigue. The faster you climb, the less fatigue you'll lose, so I strongly recommend doing anything you can to increase your speed while climbing. Additionally, the regular crampons are twice as good for beachcombing as the improvised ones. The TLDR of all this is that my recommendation is to always use the regular crampons if you have them, and improvised crampons if you don't. Before we move on, I have one more tiny detail I want to mention about the crampons that doesn't have any effect on their usefulness, which is that your survivor has to be wearing shoes to use crampons. If they take off their shoes, then the crampons will automatically be taken off as well. For our next 3 accessories, we're going to do a sweeping barrage and cover all of them to compare them to each other, because all 3 of them are all about managing carry weight. First is the foreman's tool belt. This wonderful thing is the handyman's favorite item. While you have it equipped, it will half the weight of the 3 heaviest tools your survivor is carrying. Next is the moosehide satchel, which will add an additional 5 kilograms to your survivor's maximum carry capacity, but you cannot have 2 of these equipped at once. Finally, the security chief's rifle holster, which will reduce the carry weight of your survivor's primary rifle by 50%. Since each of these items are solely for weight management, let's compare the weight you'll free up from each of them. We'll get the moosehide satchel out of the way first, because it always provides a flat bonus of adding 5 kilograms to your carry capacity. The tool belt is much more dynamic due to the vast combinations of tools it can apply to. If your survivor carries the 3 heaviest tools in the game, except for the ones that are improvised, the heavy hammer, hatchet, and one of either the pry bar, hacksaw, or simple tools, you will save a total of 2.25 kilograms of space. As you swap out those tools with other ones, the benefit will decrease as tool weight decreases. How about the rifle holster? The heaviest unloaded rifle is Barb's rifle at 4.5 kilograms. So if you're using that rifle, the holster will save you 2.25 kilograms of space, just like the tool belt. And, just like the tool belt, the lighter your rifle variant, the less benefit you'll receive. So here's what I recommend for determining which accessory to use. If you only have one free accessory slot, Choose the Moosehide Satchel as it is far and away the best to get more carry space. If you have 2 free slots, then use the Moosehide Satchel in one, and then try on both the tool belt and the holster and see which one you benefit from more, and then choose that one. Of course, before you try those on, I recommend taking a visit to my Roomy Pack playlist on my channel, where I go over all my tips and advice for helping with curing your pack rat tendencies and learn when and how to leave things behind. Last, and kind of least, we have the ballistic vest. The ballistic vest weighs a back-breaking 6 kilograms and reduces your mobility by 40%, but it does provide you with a whopping 50% protection bonus. Due to the incredibly high cost to weight and mobility, you should only ever wear the ballistic vest if you're going on a hunting trip for a moose, bear, or cougar. Anything less than specifically hunting these animals is going to be an incredibly large waste of your resources. And that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and maybe got some clarity on how these complicated accessory items work. Special thank you to the Evil Pan and Coec on Instagram for helping make the amazing thumbnail. If I missed anything or got anything wrong in this video, please let me know. The integrity of the information I give you guys is incredibly important to me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.